With Week 13 of the NFL kicking off tonight, the Lions have a huge matchup heading down to New Orleans to tangle with the Saints Sunday afternoon. I'm calling for us to bust out the brooms and finish a nice clean sweep of the NFC South. Guys, there's a lot of storylines to look at here. This could be a huge revenge game narrative for both players and coaches alike. We're going to be down a couple of players, as well as Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to be a little bit lighter in the wallet after a little bullshit fine coming from the NFL. We will discuss that briefly, but most importantly, you guys, we need to look ahead to the Saints. I'm going to tell you all the things you need to know and all the things to look out for. This is the Hat and Beard Show.
Okay, let's go.
Hey there, guy. Welcome back to the Hat and Beard Show. In case you don't know, I'm your hostess with the mostest, Hat and Beard, where my pronouns are savage and I identify as sexy. With me, as always, is my co-host, stiff to my right, B-Rad, helping me hold down the fort, and Pick'em's extraordinaire. Guys, we need to talk about something that just broke this week. Early on, Amon-Ra St. Brown found out that he caught a fine from the NFL for delivering too harsh of a block on Bears safety Jaquan Brisker week 11, and it's going to end up costing him a cool $50,000. Now, that's not really that much money to an NFL player, although it does equate out to be about 5% of Amon-Ra's annual salary this year. I'm going to be real, guys. When I hear that it's 5% of his annual salary, yeah, I'm not going to feel too bad about you, bud. I mean, let's be honest. That fine right there, the fine that you're paying, could be life-changing money for a lot of people, myself included. But I do think it's bullcrap. It's another sign of the NFL that it's being too soft. I know that points are down and we're letting defenses play a little bit more this year than in years past, but I'm going to be honest. These ticky-tacky fines, Josh Allen, where he got fined and flagged for pointing at a player. Look, man, these guys are professional athletes in a hyper-competitive sport. Let them play, okay? And especially that hit that block Amon-Ra laid on Jaquan Brisker, there was nothing vicious or vulgar or violent about that at all. It was just a man blocking downfield. And if you're going to continue to kneecap the Detroit Lions with just blatant bullshit calls like that and terrible fines, it's obvious to the rest of us that you're doing everything you can to stop the Detroit Lions. And I, for one, I see right through it. I see what's going on. The NFL's trying to kneecap the Lions right now because, well, to be honest, we were rolling a little too hot and heavy heading into the postseason, and they didn't want to see the Lions just come up and smash everybody because they're trying to set the stage for a Super Bowl rematch between the Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. That much I do not doubt. And unfortunately, with the way the Lions were playing before the bye week, the NFL had to do everything within their power to try and kneecap and handicap the Detroit Lions, whether that be mysterious pass interference calls, defensive holdings that reset downs and move the sticks for player or teams when they're facing a 3rd and long, or even post-game a week later, you're getting a fine issued to you by the NFL for blocking too aggressively. If it looks like a duck and smells like a duck, it's probably a duck, guys. Now, let's talk about the revenge game narrative heading down to New Orleans. Y'all, this is a big game for us. Not only is it a big game for us to right things and correct things, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the video, but this is a huge revenge game narrative for both players and coaches. In case you guys didn't know, before Alex Anzalone signed with the Detroit Lions, 2-3 years ago, he was part of the initial revamp brought up from New Orleans with Dan Campbell and Aaron Glenn, because Alex Anzalone was originally drafted by the New Orleans Saints, and unfortunately, he is not going to be available. It's looking like he's probably going to miss a couple of weeks, which is a big blow to the Detroit Lions defense. However, it could be a huge turning point for our defense, and I'll explain that in a little bit later. So Alex Anzalone won't be available for the revenge game. Jay Willie, though, you guys, our running back last season, who I was really high on, had 17 one-yard rushing touchdowns, set a Lions franchise rushing touchdown record in a single season, surpassing Barry Sanders' 16, or was it? I think it was 16 or 7. Either way, regardless, Jay Willie wanted a big contract extension, and he wanted more than what we were willing to give David Montgomery. From everything that I've read, we offered the same amount of money, the same contract to Jay Willie that we offered to David Montgomery. If you look at the production of the two players, clearly Brad Holmes knows something that the rest of us didn't know, because he could see the tires on Jay Willie were just worn way down. I think he has less than 200 rushing yards on the entire season. Now, granted, he was on IR for a couple weeks and wasn't available until week 7 of this year, but still his productivity is down. I think he's averaging something around sub 4 yards per carry. Now, that's not necessarily all his fault. That is the fault of Dennis Allen and the New Orleans Saints coaching staff not being able to put players in positions to succeed, as well as just having a trash can of a roster on offense and not the most electrifying roster on defense. However, the Saints could have taken advantage of a down NFC North here. They are still in contention to win the NFC South. However, if the Falcons end up winning the NFC South, that should be an insult to all teams outside of the Carolina Panthers. Carolina Panthers are probably the worst team in football. They just moved on from Frank Reich, a move that I wouldn't have made, not a first-year head coach in his first year, or not even finishing his first year. I don't agree with that. I think it sets a bad precedent for all head coaching opportunities moving forward, especially if you're trying to covet a guy like, say, Ben Johnson, who clearly has a bit of a niche for being a loyal head coach and sticking with the program, because he understands, after spending so much time in Detroit, exactly what it's going to take to rebuild a program. So if you're the Carolina Panthers, you're not making a great name for yourself as a potential employer looking to bring in a new employee. That's not going to look so great. Now, granted, there are only 32 positions. There are only 32 of these jobs in the entire world, right? It's a highly coveted job. Someone's going to take it. But if you're looking to maybe make a splash for the guy who understands it's going to take a while to build, showing that you have a shortened timeline and no patience with your head coach, not necessarily the best thing you want to do, not a great look. However, I do understand, at least from all rumors coming out of Carolina, that there was a bit of turmoil in their selecting of Bryce Young. From what I've been able to read, both Frank Reich and potentially Deuce Staley, which is why I'm assuming he was terminated as well, both of them really wanted to go C.J. Stroud, and the brass ended up forcing them to go Bryce Young. The results speak for themselves. C.J. Stroud is potentially having the best rookie season an NFL quarterback has ever seen. I mean, the guy as a rookie is even in contention for a league MVP, because the Houston C.J. Strouds are just unstoppable. My man is pro-ready. He's breaking every single narrative about Ohio State quarterbacks. I was completely wrong about C.J. Stroud, and I'm a big enough man to admit it. However, the Carolina Panthers GM is not, and they decided to pull the trigger and go ahead and fire Frank Reich. Not necessarily looking good. The NFC South is an absolute mess. When Baker Mayfield is a starting quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you know that the NFC South is in trouble. The Atlanta Falcons have gone from Heineke back to Ritter. It's just a mess down there. And you'd think that with all of that going on, that the New Orleans Saints have a returning solid defense, a bunch of veteran leadership, and young talent on offense, that when you bring in, say, a David Carr, they are maybe doing the same thing that the Lions tried to do with Jared Goff, where you could bring a quarterback who hasn't had necessarily the last couple of years great with his original team, looking to have a fresh start, bring him on in. New Orleans paid him a relatively large contract for his position and his position value, considering his age and productivity. Derek Carr did come off of a solid year prior to signing in New Orleans, or being cut by the Raiders and then signing in New Orleans. However, he hasn't really been able to execute. The offense doesn't seem to be in sync. He hasn't been able to utilize his weapons. I mean, the Chris Olave and Alvin Kamara are elite talent, but no one's been able to get them the ball. Now, granted, Derek Carr's missed a couple of games due to injury, but you would think that they would have taken advantage of a down AFC South. But because of the lack of productivity out of your number 2 running back, Alvin Kamara missed some time. Jay Willie was on IR, and then when he did come back, was less than effective. And Derek Carr being in and out of injury protocol, concussion protocol, I think he had a hand injury for a while there, doesn't bode well for the New Orleans Saints. That being said, this is a great time for MC, DC, and Aaron Glenn, who both are part of the coaching regime in New Orleans before coming and taking the head coaching and defensive coordinator job in Detroit. Both of them were under contract for the New Orleans Saints, and this is a huge opportunity for them to come out and just kind of rub it in the face of the organization that kind of groomed them, cultivated them, and that decided to stick around with Dennis Allen instead of giving Guns Mahomie, Motor City Dan Campbell, the opportunity that he rightfully deserved based on what he's been able to do in Detroit. All that being said, all of it can go out the window, because as we as Lions fans know, that a revenge game narrative doesn't bode well for us, and this is when players tend to kind of go off, historically speaking. Do I think this is a historical team, the same old Lions? No, I think this is a different Lions team. However, just something to be on the lookout. There is that oddball chance that when you're missing an Anzalone, you have a banged up defense that has been taken advantage of the past couple of weeks. I wouldn't be surprised to see Jay Willie get the rock a little bit more than he's been used to and take advantage of his opportunities, because again, Jamal Williams is a very emotional player. He clearly showed that when he was in Detroit, wanting to really stick it in the eye of the Green Bay Packers, and you know he's going to want to come out with that same fire and stick it in the eye of the Detroit Lions because we didn't offer him more money than he thought he deserved, and clearly Brad Holmes was right. David Montgomery's been a far superior, more productive running back in replacement of Jamal Williams, even though his touchdowns aren't necessarily the same. His overall offensive production and full-on football productivity on the field, whether it be on the odd third down situation where he's on the field and Jahmyr Gibbs is not, he's been able to succeed both in the rushing game and the receiving department. So David Montgomery, far superior back to Jamal Williams. Nice step up for us there. I would like to not see the revenge game narrative come out of Jamal Williams, but I'm just saying it's something that can happen and something to keep an eye out for. Hey, bud, while I got you, before we head too far down the road, go ahead and do me a favor. Go ahead and, if you haven't already, go ahead and go to your bathroom and find your girlfriend's lotion and lotion your man hide, because it is the wintertime and we do not need to be drying out our succulent man flesh, guys. Do yourself a big salad. Go ahead and moisturize your skin, man. I'm telling you guys, as a 35-year-old man who spent the majority of his life thinking that it was something that only chicks do, you know what? I was wrong. And having moisturized skin heading into the winter is just an absolute boon. It is... Man, it really does make a world of difference not having your lips split, not having your fingers split, dude, not having everything just dry and ashy and flaky. So do yourself a favor, like this video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, ring the notification bell, and comment down below that you're the hashtag Lotion Gang, and go ahead and slap some moisturizer on yourself. Thanks, fellas. So what am I looking for out of our team? Offensively, let's talk about the offense first. Offensively, I'm looking for synchronicity to come back. The Packers game, I'm going to chalk it up to a one-off. I've been saying it that we've been running on empty for the last little bit, and I'm looking for this mini bye week to really kind of focus and hone things in a little bit. The more you lose, the less the targets on your back. However, the more news lines come out in the negative, they can play into the mental capacity of the players. I don't think that's going to happen to the Detroit Lions. Offensively, I need to see Jared Goff, now that he's out from underneath a waxing gibbous moon, I need Jared Goff to come out and be sharp. I need him to be calculated, cool, calm, and collected. I need him to deliver the ball where he needs to deliver the ball. I need him to deliver the ball on time. I need his receivers to run crisp, clean routes. I need to have no confusion between the receivers running routes where they're crossing up guys and Sam Laporta is getting jammed in coverage and Jared Goff throwing the ball exactly where he needs to throw the ball. But there's a defender there because Sam Laporta got crossed up, mixing his route with the oncoming wide receiver. I need to see our offensive line play like the top 5 offensive line we were 6-7 weeks ago. Okay, I come to the realization Jonah Jackson's probably not going to be available this week, maybe even the rest of the season. So I need Colby Sorsdahl to step up. Bro, I need you to do it. I need you to do it. I need you and Jack Campbell to put your shitting pants on and be big boys and play in a big boy game. All right, shitter, get off the pot here, fellas. Put your shitting pants on. Big boy. Help solidify this offensive line, because the way the offensive line goes, the ways our team goes. All right, without our offensive line there to give Jared Goff the time that he needs, our wide receivers can't get open, especially if they're stifling our run game. The New Orleans Saints have a relatively decent defense. They're not a top elite defense, but they're still a defense. They still have ballers all over the field. If our run game is stagnant, then Jared Goff needs to shoulder the load. Do I want to see that happen again? No, I don't want to see that happen again. It's happened the last 3 weeks, okay, where our run game hasn't necessarily been the most dominant factor like it was against the Raiders. Okay, we've been bottled up, shortened out, and had to put all the pressure on Ben Johnson and Jared Goff, and I don't want to see that happen. Okay, so look, I'm looking for offensively, like I said, synchronicity, better offensive line play, crisper play out of Jared Goff, but I'd really like to see the Alabama Jays go off, dude. I want to see the Alabama Jays just come out and be Alabama Jays. And I'm talking about the Alabama Jays. I'm talking about Jameson Williams and Jahmyr Gibbs. All right, I want to see the Alabama Jays have their just blow them out the water, just smash them, dude. Just pretend like you're playing LSU and just go out there and just beat the brakes off the Saints, dude. I'd like to see both running backs touch the ball 20 times, just like I said against the Chargers, dude. You see both running backs touch the ball 20 plus times. You see Jared Goff throw 20 to 25 passes, play ball control offense. We've been talking about it all season. You got to play complementary football so that our defense can rest up, so that the shortcomings of our defense aren't gapingly exposed to the NFL, because there are a lot of shortcomings that we have on offense that when on defense, that when our offense isn't playing complementary football and our defense is left on the field for extended periods of time, it just does not bode well for us. The case in point against the Packers, against the Bears, and even against the Chargers, where things just hadn't been going our way. Our defense was on the field far too long than it needed to be, and we were gassed come midway through the fourth quarter. And even though our team is built on toughness, grit, and resiliency, when you get into weeks 13 and you're playing 68 snaps on defense while your offense is only giving you 35 snaps and maybe 100 yards or 200 yards of production, whereas the other team's offense has racked up 300 plus yards, triple the time of possession of you, and 60 plus plays. I'm looking at you, Baltimore, what you did to our defense. That's not going to bode well for us, okay, fellas? So offense, play complementary football, as well as special teams. Dan Campbell, please utilize Jack Fox, Riley Patterson. You cannot miss any field goals. Defensively, Defensively. All right. Well, we know of all the shortcomings on defense. Our secondary is a no bueno right now. They're not playing at an elite level that we need them to be playing at to be making a push into the playoffs. And our pass rush has not been getting home. Yeah, our defensive run game has been solid, mostly led by Alex Anzalone, and that is one of the big fears that I have heading into the Saints game because Alex Anzalone is not going to be available. So all the pressure is going to be put on Derek Barnes and Jack Campbell. Jack Campbell, I'm going to tell you the same thing. Bro, that I'm going to tell Colby Sorsdahl.
It's time to put your big boy shitting pants on, bud.
All right, no more of you getting blown back in coverage. I can't see you sitting back and waiting. I need you to execute. I need you to commit. I need you to make the smart play. I need Calvin Shepard to go ahead and coach you up real good, put you in positions to succeed, and I need the rest of the defense to elevate their play to make up for the shortcomings that will be the loss of Alex Anzalone, all right? He's the shot caller. He's the captain on defense, man. He makes all the plays, puts everybody into position, right? He is our guy. He's an extension of Aaron Glenn on the field. You lose that now, and you're having to put all this pressure on a rookie who unfortunately has not been playing as great as he was at the beginning of the season, hasn't really lived up to that first-round pick. I'm a Jack Campbell fan. I want Jack Campbell to succeed. What I'd really like to see is Jack Campbell come out and have just a statement game. Just come out and show everybody why he won the Butkus Award, why he was the 18th overall pick in the draft, why he was a first-round talent the Lions decided to pull the trigger on at 6'5" as a Mike backer. I need you to go ahead and play with your hair on fire, bro. I need you to come out. I need you to play great. I need you to play real smooth, real good football because you're going to be matched up against a pretty good run game in Alvin Kamara. Now, their offensive line isn't so solid, but Alvin Kamara is Alvin Kamara, and Alvin Kamara can do Alvin Kamara things. Sure, you can probably shut him down with a Brian Branch, but Brian Branch is going to have his hands full covering the secondary because although the quarterback play hasn't been necessarily great for the New Orleans Saints, they do have a lot of weapons at wide receiver. Michael Thomas might be old and busted, but he's still talented. Chris Olave is a up-and-coming elite talent wide receiver if he could just get a guy to get him the ball regularly in an offensive line that can protect the quarterback. That being said, can their offensive line stifle our pass rush? Unfortunately, yes. I'm going to have to say yes, they can because our pass rush just hasn't been able to get home. We have no one there to help Hutch in relief, to collapse the pocket around to him, to push him into it, to help bolster the play of the other defensive linemen. Our pressure rate has not been great. Yeah, Hutch can get there, but he just can't get home. I'd like to see Aiden Hutchinson come out and have 2 sacks this game. I'd like to see Aleem McNeil come out and just kind of reclaim that ascension that he was making the past 3 weeks ago before the bye week, where he was really elevating his play and starting to really come into his own as a top-tier defensive tackle. So what I need out of the defense is I need you guys to really use this opportunity against a subpar offense to clean everything up. This whole game is about cleaning things up, guys. After the Packers lost, now granted, look, New Orleans lost to Atlanta last week, so they're looking to kind of right the ship as well because they're still in the playoff hunt, believe it or not. But I need you guys, you got to beat the teams you're supposed to beat, okay? I need you to come out and I need you to beat the brakes off the Saints. I need you to polish everything up. But I need you to re-inflate the confidence in the fandom because when you re-inflate the confidence in the fandom, you're going to re-inflate the confidence in yourself. I know you guys can do it, all right? We are sitting at a solid 3 seed right now heading into the playoffs. I can't have you back out of that, though. I can't have you just start to collapse and become what people refer to as the SOL,
The same old Lions.
where Jay Willie's going off in a revenge game narrative, where you're collapsing after meeting a little bit of heartache there against the Packers on Thanksgiving. What I need is a statement game, offensively, defensively, coaching-wise. I need you guys to come out, execute, play smart, sound, fundamental football. I sound like a broken record all the time. Just come out and do your job, okay? Just come out. I need the rookies to put on their big boy shitting pants. I need the veteran leadership to really showcase themselves as to why Brad Holmes, Motor City Dan Campbell, and the entire organization believes in you, Jared Goff, okay? I need you guys to really exercise your veteran leadership, keep this team on the right track, collect everybody back together, and keep us moving forward because the playoffs are a honest-to-gosh opportunity for us here to really show the world and, well, the league and the world that things are different here and that Motor City Dan Campbell should be in contention for Coach of the Year. That's going to be it. Use this game, guys, because this will be a sweep of the NFC North. It'll put us into great position to head into the playoffs. And then you guys realize that we're winding down the regular season. Every win is going to count and be very, very important. Every little aspect of the game. Every minute detail that should have been cleaned up by week 4, it needs to be cleaned up by week 13, right? Because we're gearing up for the playoffs. we need to polish everything, get it rip roaring, ready to rock and roll, because we can. This is a conference game. Everything's a conference game except for I think we got the Broncos. Yeah, I think they're the last AFC West team that we got. We got Cowboys, Bears, Vikings twice, and I think the Broncos after this. So every win now is very, very important with our playoff seeding. It could go well, and I think I really do think that the Lions are going to fix this. That we're going to be able to correct after the mishap with the Packers, because we did kind of come back on them in the end there, right? Now, granted, they let their foot off the gas a little bit, and we took advantage of it, but there was an opportunity. We just didn't have enough left in the tank. So we're going to be charged up a little bit. We're going to be, healthier, not necessarily healthier, but on a player-by-player standpoint, healthier. You'll have a little bit more time off from the Thursday night game heading into this week game. A 10-day break. That bodes really, really well for us. And I just don't think their offense can keep up with us. If it really comes down to it, Ben Johnson can just hop into his Formula One car and decide to make this a track race, right? Like he can just go, okay, well, let's see who can race to 40 and win, and it's going to be us, because we have more weapons than they do offensively, and I think that we actually do have, on a whole, a better defense, but at certain individual spots, we don't have better players. I'm looking at like Marshawn Lattimore, Cam Jordan, even Tyrann Mathieu, Demario Davis. The Saints have guys on defense who can play, and they've been doing it for a long, long time at a very high level. So I think we can win if it's a track meet, but I'd rather not see a track meet. I'd rather see solid ball control, boring Lions football, just smash mouth, just lean on David Montgomery, just take advantage of the opportunities that are available to you guys and execute. Come out and do your job. Put your shit pants on, young fellas. So that's going to do it for me, guys. If I missed anything, go ahead and comment down below. Anything that I might have missed. I've just kind of been shooting from the hip on this one, fellas. It's been a interesting week, and I'm very, very cold right now. So drop a comment down below if you haven't already. Hit subscribe to the channel. If you're not, ring that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future content. Like the video if you appreciate what I do here. So that's going to do it for me, fellas, for the rest of the week. Do yourselves a solid. Stay out of trouble. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Don't accept any wooden nickels. Keep your stick on the ice. And remember, if she doesn't find you handsome, at least she'll find you handy. I've been Hat and Beard. You've been an attentive audience. Rig off.